What is good, guys? Welcome to the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. This is going to be one of my final fantasy shows for the 2022-23 season. Pretty much because this is championship week. If you guys have made it this far, that means you guys are in the championship. Congratulations to you guys. I'm proud of you guys. And if you made it this far, that means you're possibly going to win some money. But if you didn't make the championship, most likely you're possibly, playing for the third place matchup to where you're getting your money back. Legendary Grant, man, what's good, brother? What's good? Appreciate you hopping on the show. I'm gonna run my intro. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing on and popping. We got my guy Sheilor in the building, man. What's good, brother? What's good? What's good? So I was responding to you on Sleeper, but obviously I just started the show right now. So I'll get back to you. But yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I made it to the championship in several leagues. I lost count because I played in so many leagues. But few things that you guys should do is to go ahead and remove a guy like Derrick Henry out of your lineups immediately. I've done it in one league, and I have to do it in another league. I have Derrick Henry in two leagues. So as I'm talking to you guys right now, I'm removing Derrick Henry from all of my leagues because the game is tonight between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans. And I think the Titans are going to get blown out. I just found out that what's his name? Dobbs is going to be playing quarterback for the Titans. So he's not somebody that I'm excited about, but, hey, it just is what it is. So I'm pretty sure some guys have already picked him up in fantasy. He's a guy that, you can go ahead and grab and just kind of stash, but I'm not fooling with that quarterback whatsoever. So, yeah, Joshua Dobbs used to play for Tennessee. I think he used to play for Tennessee. He'll be the quarterback, 6'3", 216 pounds. He's more of a runner. So bench all of your Titans skill players. I don't trust any of them. Legendary Grant says both Derek Carr and Russell Wilson need to be Uber drivers next season. Shaking my head. Brady and Rodgers need to call it a career. I agree with some of what you've said. Derek Carr. Look, as a Commanders fan, I wanted Derek Carr on my squad. After what I seen last season, I am out on Derek Carr. With all this talent that he had, a play call, and offensive coordinator, he couldn't get it done. Russell Wilson, it just didn't work. So that's why, for me, I don't like my team pursuing a veteran quarterback because you don't know what could happen. It's not a guarantee that you can bring in this guy and put him into the system. Now, some of these guys are serviceable and can possibly win you games and championships even. But even a guy like Tom Brady, he needs to retire. But with the divorce, I think he's going to continue to play at least one more season. Rodgers is okay. They just need some wide receivers that can actually catch the ball. Sheilor says Tony Pollard out as well for the Cowboys. Oh, snaps. I did not know that Tony Pollard was out. Appreciate you telling me because right now I got to remove him from my lineup in one of my championship games. I've been kind of out of touch with fantasy, being that I've been diving into NBA basketball fantasy a little bit more. Around this season, I kind of taper away from football and I start going into basketball. But yeah, definitely got to get Pollard out of my lineup. Pollard has been amazing this season, by the way. Sheilor, I give you credit because you called that Pollard was going to be a top back this year. I kept trying to get him in deals, but nobody was giving me Pollard in any deal. Also, for tonight, I would advise that you guys start the Dallas Cowboys defense if you have them, if you can. I think that they're going to have a big game versus the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are so bad right now. So, yeah, that's definitely a matchup that I would take. So some of the quarterbacks that I'm looking at this week, let me pull up my list real quick. Y'all bear with me. So Trevor Lawrence has been on a tear. He's been amazing this season. He's been averaging, around 23 points a game or so. Kirk Cousins has been hot, especially the last 4 weeks. He was looking like a guy that might not get to 23 touchdowns. Now he's looking like a guy that might get to 30 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins has been pretty good at getting to 30 touchdowns. And with his team being hot right now, his team being a team that can potentially get a first-round bye. Yes, they can still compete with the Eagles. Depends on what happens. And I don't know, have the Eagles clinched or can the Vikings win 2 games and the Eagles lose 2 and then they get that first-round bye? Haven't really checked the standings lately. Sheilor says, that's my guy. Zeke is about to eat. Yeah, Zeke is about to eat. I was wrong about Zeke this year. I didn't think that Zeke had it in him to produce this year. Zeke has been great. I'll give him that. So, yeah, Titans, I mean, I see the Titans losing out. When the Titans lost, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I told my guy Tommy, I said, the Titans are not going to win another game, including Houston. So, as you guys can see, this is where they are right now, and it seems like the Titans are going to lose tonight, and they're going to play Jacksonville for that AFC the South Championship. So we'll see what happens there. Legendary Grant says, Manny, you're a contender. Would you give up draft capital for Derrick Henry? If I'm a contender, yes, I will give up draft capital for Derrick Henry. But at this point in the season, Derrick Henry doesn't really help you. But I guess you're talking about for next year. For me, I'm not spending more than a second-round pick for Derrick Henry right now, if we're talking dynasty. For one, he's an aging back. Anytime that you've trusted an aging back, they don't always produce. Derrick Henry's like, 28? He's going to be 29. He's coming off of an injury year. He's been hurt the last couple years. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry, okay? But with investing in a Derrick Henry, you need to make sure that you're getting in Henry and his backup. Then you also need to watch what the Titans do next year in the draft. It's going to be tons of running backs. That could be a year where you start to see all these aging backs. Dalvin Cook, Madison is going to be a free agent, right? So I want to share the screen. Let me share the screen. Let me show you guys some of the free agent running backs this year, so you can see why I'm not fully answering your question, but I am answering your question. Let me see. This guy, JPA, he's pretty solid. He brings lots of content. So if you guys can see on the screen right now, free agent backs next year, right? You got Saquon Barkley, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny, Jamal Williams, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard, David Montgomery, James Robinson, Alexander Madison, Jeff Wilson. These are all solid backs. These are all backs that are capable of starting. Some are RB1s and some are high caliber RB2s. Now, what happens if the Titans go ahead and grab one of these guys? Let's say the Titans go ahead and grab by Alexander Madison. I'm just saying. So if I'm going to spend draft capital on Derrick Henry, then guess what? I'll go ahead and pick up Madison. Ladarius Grant, Legendary Grant, are you asking real life question or fantasy? I didn't even ask you that because you're saying if you're a contender, would you give up draft capital for Henry? So are you saying like an actual NFL team giving up draft capital or a fantasy dynasty team giving up draft capital? Yeah, if it's real life, I'm not trading. The most you'll get from me for Derrick Henry is a third. And that's just being nice, okay? Derrick Henry is not even worth a third right now in real life. I'll say a 4th-round pick gets it done, but it just is what it is. I don't think that running backs are worth draft capitals regardless of who the team is. So Grant says real life for next season. Yeah, I'm not giving up draft capital. If I'm a Commanders fan, let's say that we didn't have Brian Robinson or we didn't have Antonio Gibson, I'm not trading for Derrick Henry. And if I do, a 4th-round pick better be enough because at the end of the day, the 2023 draft is going to have some life-changing running backs. The 2023 draft is going to have at least 5 to 7 running backs that are going to come in and tear it up. Matter of fact, a lot of the running backs that are in free agency right now came in around the same time. I know there's a class that had a slew of running backs that were all solid, up to 10 running backs in a particular class. So, like I said, 2023 class is going to be a lot of great running backs coming in, good to great running backs coming in. So why spend draft capital on a guy for Derrick Henry when you can go ahead and draft one for yourself? It is better to draft your running back anyways. That way you have them on that rookie deal for that 4 years until it's time to pay them. Like Josh Jacobs, he's had a nice productive 4 years, but now it's time to pay him. And the Raiders might not pay him. The Raiders might not pay anybody. We don't know what's going on with the Raiders. You know, Devontae Adams is stuck there because of the contract, but maybe Tom Brady goes to the Raiders. Maybe the Raiders go ahead and go after a running back like Kareem Hunt on a cheap deal, and then maybe they draft a guy. They already got Zamir White. So a lot can happen in the landscape and in the life of a running back. That lifespan is real short for running backs. And if a running back makes it to 10 years, that's just amazing. Grant says, my favorite player right now is Fields, so I want the Bears to stack up next season. Look, the Bears are another team that I don't think they re-signed David Montgomery. I bought him in Dynasty. Mistake, but I feel like David Montgomery can end up in a great situation, which is why I bought him in Dynasty. So I see the Bears adding 2 running backs, one through free agency, one through the draft. Sheilor says Zamir White season. It could be. It possibly could be. But I also see the Raiders adding another running back to that system. If they're going to rock with Zamir White, then let's see what he has these last 2 games. I think he's going to start, get a bulk of those carries and things of that nature. But at the same time, do they add a guy like Tony Pollard? If he goes there, that messes up your Zamir White season. What if a guy like Kareem Hunt goes there? They kind of complement. What if a guy like, let's say, David Montgomery? It's like it's a 50-50 chance. What if they go and get a guy like Saquon Barkley, which I don't think they will. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting free agency for sure. Grant says, if I'm the Jets, I'd trade for Jimmy G next season because Zach is washed. I agree. Zach is washed. He's another guy that I bought in Dynasty. Bad decision, but I also feel that Zach Wilson still has some football left to be played. He just needs to get on the right team and be coached up. He's still a project as we speak. Jimmy G is going to be a hot commodity. I see the Commanders going after him. I see the Jets going after him. And to my knowledge, I think that Jimmy G is a free agent, so he can go wherever he wants to go next season. But yeah, the Jets will be a perfect fit for Jimmy G. Matthew, what's good? Matthew says, should I start Hassan Haskins over A.J. Dillon? Do not do that. I would go A.J. Dillon over Hassan Haskins. Why? Go look at the last 4 games for A.J. Dillon. He has produced, and Hassan Haskins is he's a virtual unknown. We don't know what he's going to do tonight. He might ball out, but I'd rather take a guy that I trust than A.J. Dillon. Even with Aaron Jones being there, A.J. Dillon has shown that he has, RB1 potential. He's been he's been a top 12 running back a few weeks out of the last 4 weeks. So you definitely want to go A.J. Dillon. And if this is your first time checking me out, please like, please subscribe, and please share. So yeah, free agency is going to be wild. Let me stop to share. Let me see. So we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be a solid start. Kirk Cousins, good start this week versus Green Bay. It could be a shootout between Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. And it's amazing that Aaron Rodgers continues to play because he has a chance at the playoffs. If Aaron Rodgers wins these next 2 games, he ends up at 9-8, and it just might be good enough to get him into the playoffs. Being that the Lions are also 7-8, the Commanders are 7-1, and if the Commanders lose out, guess what? One of these other teams get in, and so it's still a lot of football to be played. Jared Goff versus the Bears, I love that matchup. Dak Prescott versus the Titans, he's going to tear the Titans up. I can see him going for over 300 yards, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns. And then you have the run game and the defense. I think it's going to be a lopsided matchup. It's going to be in Nashville tonight. I'm trying to get home before all of the craziness and the traffic starts to happen. Let me see. What other quarterbacks do I like this week? I like Brock Purdy in deeper leagues. If you're playing in 2 or 3 quarterback leagues or superflex leagues or whatever, Brock Purdy could be solid. He's been a solid 20 points in most leagues. In other leagues, he's averaging like around 18. So he's been solid. Quarterbacks that I'm not really interested in this week is Deshaun Watson. I've not been interested in Deshaun Watson all year. I think he's been terrible. Deshaun Watson doesn't fit what the Browns are doing right now. But after a year from now, maybe that Deshaun Watson gets back to form. Maybe he doesn't. This is a new trend. When you go ahead and you trade for these veteran quarterbacks, they go to those teams and they don't pan out. A lot of these quarterbacks have success on the teams that drafted them because they drafted them and they built around those quarterbacks. Some of these guys are trading for these quarterbacks and they're not building an offense that caters to these quarterbacks. So hence, you're going to get a Russell Wilson. You're going to get all these different things. You got to put Russell Wilson in the exact same system that he had in Seattle. Some of these great elite type quarterbacks are system quarterbacks. There are very few that are rare that can go elsewhere and be in any system and possibly operate very well. Grant says, LaShawn McCoy called Dak trash on live TV. LOL, I've never seen that man praise anybody. First of all, I'm not a Dak Prescott fan. Obviously, I can't root for Dak Prescott, being that I am a Commanders fan. But Shady McCoy has no right to call anybody trash or anything of that nature. Shady McCoy had a nice little run. When his run was over, he went chasing for rings. So you got to respect these guys that have been on teams and they grind it out constantly, especially a guy like Dak. You know, he's out there doing this thing. Dak, Tony Romo, they're around the same. Dallas Cowboys have a curse. They just can't get over that hump. Could this be the year that the Dallas Cowboys get over that hump? I hope not, but, you know, he definitely can't call Dak trash. Now, I don't think that Dak is great, but I think that Dak is a good quarterback. I think when you look at the league right now, how many great quarterbacks do you guys really see? How many elite quarterbacks do you guys really see? Like, I've had this conversation over and over. You can say a guy like Patrick Mahomes, right? He's elite. You can say a guy like maybe Justin Herbert. I don't know. He hasn't won anything, so is he elite? Josh Allen is right there. He's trying to get over that hump. He's trying to get to that big game. You have Joe Burrow, who's done it. He's gotten to the big game. He didn't win it, so you can put Joe Burrow in that elite status. So really, realistically, guys, I'm talking to y'all. How many elite quarterbacks are there in the NFL? Everybody else is all around the same. We laugh about guys like Carson Wentz and Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. He won one, but come on. Matthew Stafford didn't elevate his team to win Super Bowl. The defense won the Super Bowl, but he was great in the regular season. I give him that. So when you look at it, all these quarterbacks are all the same. From Jimmy G to Jared Goff to Carson Wentz to now Russell Wilson. Yes, until Russell Wilson proves me otherwise. Russell Wilson is in the same class with all these mediocre guys. Even Derek Carr. They're all in the same stratosphere. So when you have Jimmy going here and Carr going there, it's all about now trying to fix the quarterbacks with the offensive coordinators that's going to bring out the best out of these guys. I'm not saying that you can't win without these guys. I mean, Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl, right? But it was solely not on Jared Goff. It was McVay. It was the system. It was the weapons, the defense. So all these things go together. It's a team sport. Grant says, not going to lie, Manny, I would rather have Cam Newton taking snaps than Baker, Zach Wilson, and a couple more dudes. I feel you. I think that Cam Newton is on the same level as Baker and Zach Wilson. I mean, I don't think much of Cam Newton right now, the Cam Newton of right now. So a lot of these quarterbacks, man, they're just all interchangeable. But here's Shilor's list of elite quarterbacks. You got Burrow, you got Mahomes, you got Allen, you got Herbert. I agree. These are the four. I can't put Lamar Jackson in there. He's been MVP. I get it. I can't put him in there. Your best ability should be availability, and Lamar Jackson has not been available. I put Lamar a tad, 2 notches or 2 tiers under elite. But Lamar Jackson is great. You know, Kyler Murray, he's great-ish. Although Shilor hates Kyler Murray, but it's really like, where are the quarterbacks? If you have a quarterback that's decent, that's a starter, you rock with that quarterback until you find a better one. It's really hard to find a Burrow or a Mahomes or an Allen or a Herbert. It's really hard to find these guys. Grant says if Tua was at least 6'2", he'd be elite. I don't know. I think that, to me, Tua is on that same. Tua is a notch under guys like Lamar and Kyler Murray. So so you have like the big four, and you have Lamar Jackson, and it's then that tier you got guys like Kyler Murray. He's done it longer. He's done it more. So I give Kyler Murray more credit than a guy like Tua. We haven't seen Tua be elite. Like, Tua just finally got some weapons. Tua finally started to have a good season. He's going to be a good quarterback in this league, but see how they're catering that offense to Tua. That's what good coaches and good offensive coordinators do. You build your team to get the best out of a guy like Tua. If you take Tua right now and you put him in a system like Washington, he might not excel. You take Tua and you put him in a system like the Tennessee Titans, he might not be the same Tua that you're seeing today. Who's he throwing to? Robert Woods and the rookie? Can't even think of his name right now. So all I'm saying is that sometimes for these quarterbacks to get elite, they have to be built up in the right system too. Matthew says the concussions killed Tua. Tua's year. Yeah, I love Tua. Now, I'm a big Tua fan. If my Commanders did not get Chase Young, I would have been fine with Tua. Although Justin Herbert was there, nobody was talking about Justin Herbert being an elite guy. I mean, let's just be real. The Chargers got real lucky to get Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert ended up being one of these elite guys. Yes, I know a lot of you guys watch college football and you saw the potential and this and that, but Justin Herbert was not getting that same hype that Tua was getting. I'm a big Tua fan, and I hope he does well. I hope he has a great career. I hope they continue to add offensive weapons, offensive line to continue to help this guy grow into one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yeah. Grant says, is Hurts talented or just a product of a great system? I think it's a little bit of both. He's a talented quarterback. He's a lot like Lamar Jackson. Now, that system, that running quarterback is not sustainable. These guys get hurt. Matter of fact, wasn't Jalen Hurts hurt last week? I'm telling you, every quarterback gets hurt. Whether you run, whether you throw, it doesn't matter, right? But when you put yourself in harm's way, when you put yourself in a position to get hit more than a normal quarterback would take a hit, and especially a smaller guy like Jalen Hurts. It's not like he's Josh Allen or Cam Newton. He's not a big guy. He's a smaller guy trying to run. He's going to get hurt. A quarterback that I think that is coming up is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is coming up, and he's going to hit elite status after next season. I guarantee you guys. Trevor Lawrence has all the tools to be an elite quarterback in this league, and I'm telling you, he's so close to being an elite quarterback. He's a prototypical type quarterback, and he's doing it with the weapons that he has now. Just imagine when Trevor Lawrence gets him a T. Higgins or a Jamar Chase. You know, a lot of these guys that Shilor mentioned, right? You got Josh Allen. He has, Diggs. Mahomes is Mahomes. He has Kelsey, but Mahomes is special. Mahomes is produced at a high clip without a guy like Tyreek Hill. Like, you go backwards in weapons, and he's still produced. Then the guys like Herbert, he has a slew of weapons. You got guys like, so all I'm saying is that within the right system and the right weapons, Trevor Lawrence can be a super elite quarterback. Jalen Hurts, back to what you were saying, Grant. Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He fits that system. I think he's more system, but he is talented within the system. So I'll go ahead and answer it like that. Shilor says next group coming up is Lawrence and Hurts. I agree. I agree. T-Law, Hurts. Hurts has all the tools to be an NFL MVP. If you love Lamar Jackson, you got to love Jalen Hurts. He's going to break a record. He's going to have the most rushing touchdowns for a quarterback, and that's impressive at his frame. So Jalen Hurts fits that system. It's working. He's exciting to watch. Both guys are exciting to watch. Hurts is definitely a product of the system and great weapons, and that's, as an Eagle fan, I appreciate your honesty, Matt. I agree with you. I remember when they said Hurts couldn't do this, Hurts couldn't do that, he started to get more and more comfortable. Now, here's what happens with young quarterbacks. With Hurts getting more and more comfortable and turning into an NFL quarterback and building his confidence, he then starts to become talented. Maybe he didn't have the talent before, or he was a system guy or whatever. He's going to get to a status to where people will start to talk about Hurts as being an elite quarterback, just not in fantasy, but also in real life. It's just what happens. Hurts might go somewhere else, and it might not work. A lot of quarterbacks in the league are system guys. I'm telling you guys. You have to build a system that caters to your quarterback. It's like, did you guys remember Aaron Rodgers, right? He's the ageless wonder. He's one of the best quarterbacks anybody's ever seen. He throws the ball. He's accurate, right? Every year. His interception numbers are usually under 7 interceptions. To throw the ball that many times and have under 7 picks, that's as accurate as we've seen as a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, right? But then you remove the weapons from Aaron Rodgers. Then Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers, right? You start to tweak the offensive line. You move money to the defense. You spend less money on the offense. You spend less draft capital on the offense, and it looks like how it looks. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. You put Aaron Rodgers in the right system with the right weapons, he looks like the MVP Rodgers. Matter of fact, Rodgers won the MVP last year, right? But it looks complete trash this year because the team is complete trash. So all I'm saying is that a system is a system, and each elite quarterback needs elite weapons. And you need an elite team, or that quarterback needs to elevate the team to be a respectable team to then start talking about this guy's elite or that guy's elite. Grant says, I'm taking Fields over Lawrence. I'm not. I'm sorry. I can't have my team depend on a scrambling quarterback, a quarterback who uses his legs better than his arm, and depend on that to win games. I'm sorry, it's not sustainable. These guys get hurt. I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson can't win a title. He can. I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts can't win a title. He can. I'm not saying that scrambling quarterbacks cannot win titles. But when Russell Wilson won a title, he's just a quarterback that can throw, although he does scramble, right? Josh Allen hasn't even done it yet. So I'm not seeing any scrambling quarterbacks or run-first quarterbacks win a title in the last 20 years, 25 years. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing somebody. Maybe I skipped somebody. Patrick Mahomes does run, but he's a pass first. He runs when he has to. So running quarterbacks, I'm sorry. Count me out. If I'm a GM, I'm not going to say I'm not going to draft one, but I just know what comes with running quarterbacks. When my Washington Redskins at the time drafted RG3, they also took Kirk Cousins because these running quarterbacks with small frames, they just don't last. Andrew Luck, he was another one. He can run a little bit. He can throw a little bit. Offensive line was bad. Then his career ended up, so short, so fast. So, guys, if you guys are coming in, if you guys are new to the channel, please like, please subscribe. It's supposed to be a fantasy show, but we're having such a great conversation. Grant says Hurts doesn't come close to 2010, 2011 Eagles Vic. He doesn't come close right now because he doesn't have the experience that Michael Vick had. But I'm telling you, the better that these weapons get, the more comfortable. Just imagine if the Eagles draft a Bijan Robinson or if the Eagles draft a Jahmyr Gibbs, that offense is going to be impossible. You have to. And also, that Michael Vick Eagles team, who was the coach? I believe that coach now coaches for who? The Kansas City Chiefs, right? I'm just telling you, it's all about a system too. So Hurts is not in the system that helped Vic to become that 2010 and that 2011 Vic. Shilor says, nope, no zero quarterbacks, zero run first quarterbacks win the Super Bowl. It just doesn't happen. The running quarterbacks, that system, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. As the playoffs progress, people figure out how to stop these running quarterbacks, and hence they haven't had any success. Like I said, maybe Hurts is the first one to do it. Maybe Lamar is the first one to do it. Somebody's going to do it. Maybe Kyler Murray's the first. Somebody will do it, but that system, that running thing is just not sustainable. Grant says, Allen and Mahomes are the best passing, scrambling quarterbacks I've seen. Rodgers, too, I guess. Yeah, Rodgers was a beast in his prime with scrambling, getting out the pocket, creating with his feet. See, I love the quarterbacks. Allen and Mahomes are two different quarterbacks. You got Mahomes, who throws the ball, but he'll run when he needs to. You have Josh Allen that can throw, run. Not only that, he's a great weapon inside the red zone. He has a lot of touchdowns as a quarterback, but his frame allows him to do some of those things. Yes, Andy Reid, that's the guy. Can't believe he slipped my mind. But yeah, Andy Reid. But great conversation we're having so far. Keep dropping your comments in the comment section while I go to the next group, which is running backs. You guys keep conversation going. So running backs, like Shilor just updating me right now. He just told me that Pollard is out. So you guys make sure that you guys get him out of your lineups. All right. You got Travis Etienne. You got Jerick McKinnon. Let's talk about Jerick McKinnon for a little minute. Jerick McKinnon has come in and changed everything. Jerick McKinnon has more receiving touchdowns the last 4 weeks. He has more receiving touchdowns than guys like Terry McLaurin and a slew of wide receivers. So sometimes you get some of these guys, you can build the best team. I've had some really good teams. Shilor has had some really good teams, and we get to the playoffs in fantasy, and it's like, man, my team is going home when my team is knocked out. You have to have a good team in the front half of fantasy, and then you got to have at least one of these guys that have been heroes the back half, like the Jared Goffs, the Kirk Cousins, the Jerick McKinnons. If your team has remained the same, they're not going to maintain that level of play. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs definitely have not maintained that level of play. They're still winning games, but they're winning games differently. But yeah, Jerick McKinnon has been amazing this year. He continues to tear it up, and I think he's going to have a great chance to produce this week. He's been finishing as a RB1 in several weeks. That's 2 straight weeks of RB1 potential for Jerick McKinnon, and he's gonna do it again versus a team like the Denver Broncos. I told you guys that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was trash, and you guys are now seeing who Clyde Edwards-Helaire is. I mean, you can say injury, you can say this, you can say that. Let me get into these comments a little bit. Grant says Allen literally be jumping over dudes like he's Giannis. He do. AFC Championship, AFC playoffs is going to be crazy with Lawrence, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Tua, Lamar. It's going to be wild. These are literally some of the best quarterbacks reside in the AFC. And then veteran wide receivers, Adams, Diggs, D-Hop let me down last week. Bro, I don't even know how to play fantasy no more. Like, this is one of the weirdest years of fantasy to where Jared Goff is a top quarterback. Like, if you held on the guys like Goff, or you drafted guys like Geno Smith, I'm in this championship matchup right now to where I went 0 quarterbacks, and I drafted guys like Tannehill and Geno Smith and Goff and this guy and that guy, and it's panned out. It's worked out beautifully because I was able to build a team that had Cooper Kupp, Adams, and some of these high caliber guys. And although some of those guys are hurt, it's just crazy how fantasy goes, man. But back to some of these running backs. ETN, he's been solid this year. I'm glad that I didn't trade ETN in every league. I traded him maybe in one league, or I tried to trade him and couldn't get an offer. Cam Akers destroyed me last week. Cam Akers, 3 touchdown performance, took me out of my big money league, one of my big money leagues, and cost me an opportunity to win $900 in the championship matchup. Now I have to settle for a third place matchup to win $100. So I'm kind of pissed about Cam Akers right now. He goes against the Chargers. The Chargers struggle to cover the run. I'm not messing with anybody in the Lions backfield. Tyler Algier has been a revelation. Tyler Algier has been great. I mean, he balled out last week. 18 carries, 5 targets, going for about 120 yards a score. Guys that I've not been trusting for the past several weeks is a guy like Nick Chubb. It seems like ever since Deshaun Watson got to Cleveland and started starting, Nick Chubb became sorry. Like, Nick Chubb is not producing. Like, what's going on? Is it Nick Chubb? Is it Deshaun Watson? Is it the system? Like, what's going on? So I don't understand. But yeah, I'm staying away from guys like Nick Chubb. I'm not fooling with him. J.K. Dobbins has been solid the last 2 weeks. I'll give him a shot if I need help. And then with the whole Dolphins thing, is it Raheem Mostert? Is it Jeff Wilson? I'll say flip a coin and start one of those guys if you need one of them guys. It's just tough this year with running backs. Grant says Tyreek Hill equals T.O., Diggs equals Ocho, and Jefferson equals Randy Moss of this era. Neither as talented as the OGs, though. I can give you that. I think that each of these 6 wide receivers that you've mentioned all bring a different kind of swag to the game. Randy Moss, the way that he runs these go routes, is similar to what Tyreek Hill does, but Tyreek Hill is doing it at 5'7", 5'8". Randy Moss is 6'4", 6'5". So, Randy Moss is jumping over people, mossing them and stuff like that, but Tyreek Hill has become one of the better, if not the best wide receiver in the game. And we've seen that he goes from playing with the best quarterback in the league in Mahomes and goes and plays with Tua, a virtual unknown to this point, and he's throwing up even better numbers. Tyreek Hill had a chance to lead the league in receptions this year and yards, but things happen to now. It might just be Jefferson that gets that record. So then you look at a guy like Jefferson, and you say Ocho Cinco or T.O. Jefferson is just he's different. He's different. He has footwork, kind of like Ocho, but Ocho is Ocho. You know what I'm saying? T.O. is T.O. So I try not to compare these guys. And Diggs is like a smaller guy. So. But obviously these are the 3 best wide receivers right now, and then you have to toss in a Devontae Adams when he's on his when he's on his grind, when he has his quarterback. Devontae Adams, I think sometimes you can compare. You can say that he's better than all these guys. I mean, he's a touchdown machine. He's a virtual. You cannot guard Devontae Adams. Like, Devontae Adams is he is him. Okay, he's him. So to not put him on this list, I mean, it's tough. Like I said, each wide receiver brings something different, something special to the game. But these are just some of the best receivers in the game. And like you said, some of these OGs are just I'm not going to compare anybody to these guys. Who can I compare to Ocho Cinco's footwork and the way that he just runs his routes and he's in and out of his breaks? And you got T.O., he can catch the ball, run people over, stiff arm, make some plays after the catch, big guy, throw it up, fast. I mean, we've had some really good wide receivers in the league. So I've given you guys my running back list. I'm going to give you guys my wide receivers, and we'll go tight end and then so on and so forth. So looking at the wide receivers this week, this is a position that you have to watch carefully because it's a lot of quarterback movement. It's a lot of quarterback movement. There's a lot of quarterbacks getting benched. As long as Aaron Rodgers remains quarterback, he's going to target Christian Watson. You can tell he loves Christian Watson. And if he comes back next year, I think that Christian Watson has a chance to be a top 20 wide receiver. I'm going to keep it safe. I'm going to say top 15, but I can say top 20. The way that these two guys are connecting is crazy, and they'll have an offseason to get better. But yeah, Christian Watson this week versus the Vikings, I think it's going to be a shootout. Chris Godwin this week versus the Panthers. I love Godwin. I think Godwin is the most talented wide receiver on Tampa Bay. Even though Mike Evans is a bad boy, every season that he's had 1,000 yards every single year, and I think he gets to his 1,000-yard season this year. But Chris Godwin is the guy that you want to have. He's the guy that's going to command more targets, and then he does all the little intermediate stuff. He's a guy that will go 10 targets, catch 8 receptions for 63 yards and a score. That's just Godwin, okay? You got Drake London this week. I like him this week. I like Jerry Jeudy. As the season has gone on, Jerry Jeudy has made me a believer, and I'm starting to see a Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy connection as the season goes on. DJ Chark has been scary good. He's been scary good. He's been sneaking in. If you're playing in some deep leagues and you need a flex guy, DJ Chark is the guy that you want to go with. I know they got Jameson Williams. I know they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. All I'm saying is that DJ Chark has been as solid as they come. Matthew says these receivers now could not play in the era with T.O. You can't touch them now. Absolutely. That's why, it's hard to compare eras because in the era of T.O. and the rest of these OGs, right, it's kind of like basketball, the Jordan era and the Kobe era and all these guys, right, with the hand checks and everything. So the receivers in T.O.'s era, they were more physical. All of them, they were more physical. The receivers now, they're not as physical. You're seeing some smaller, slender wide receivers. You're seeing receivers that are able to create right after the catch. And it seems like more receivers like Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jahan Dotson, all these smaller guys are coming in where they can catch the ball and make plays. I mean, it's just the NFL is changing. It's changing to a passing league, and it's making sure that quarterbacks are throwing for 4,000 yards like it's nothing. They're throwing for 5,000 yards. They're throwing for 4,500 yards like it's nothing because of the system and the way that, the NFL is ran now. Just Ocho Cinco is going to the Hall. Ocho Cinco was a beast, man. I look, I've never seen anybody with footwork like Ocho Cinco. He was amazing. Back to DJ Chark. He's been nice. At least the last 4 games. Three out of the last 4 games, he's either topped 90 yards or more. And then, he's also had, solid double-digit games 3 out of the last 4. So you want to rock with him if you can. Guys that I like this week, I still like Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, I still think, is one of the better wide receivers in the system for the Cardinals. Colt McCoy comes back. Remember that game when Colt McCoy came in for the first time for Kyler Murray, and he threw crazy amount of targets to Hopkins and crazy amount of targets to what's his name, Rondale Moore. So I still see potential for Marquise Brown, but he's a guy that I'm going to play if I need a desperation play. Deontay Johnson, he's a tough one. He's one of them wild cards. Like, Trubisky loves him, but Kenny Pickett doesn't. So, we just have to kind of like go with it. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think he's solid. But I saw him against the Commanders. I don't know. I don't trust Deshaun Watson right now. So I don't know what to tell you. Grant says Darren Sproles would be way better than Tyreek Hill in this era. It's debatable. Do you see Darren Sproles, the 5'4"? Okay, he's 5'4". Okay, I don't care what anybody says. He's 5'4", 5'5" at best. I don't see Darren Sproles 5'4", 5'5" having the impact that Tyreek Hill is having right now. They're not even the same player. One is a running back. But I get what you're saying. I just don't see Darren Sproles doing anything in the slot. I don't. You see him on wheel routes. You see him coming out the backfield. But if you tell him to beat a slot corner or catch the ball and make plays right after, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see the comparison. I get what you're saying, but I just don't see the comparison between these two guys. Just two different guys. They play two different styles. So let's go ahead and go on to the tight end position. This is a position that if you faded tight ends in your leagues, in your drafts, your team looks good. If you drafted tight ends early, you're struggling right now. If you're somebody like me who said, hey, Dalton Schultz is going to be one of the better tight ends this year, and then he's not. A guy like Evan Ingram, he's been great. He's been like number 2 outside of Kelsey. Evan Ingram came out of nowhere, and he's produced at a high clip. Matthew says, Tariq is way too fast. Derek can't do what he does. Yeah, it's just, yeah. That's why I didn't even bother with that comparison. Freiermuth or Waller this week? That's tough. When you bring in a Jarrett Stidham, young quarterbacks usually go for their tight end, right? Well, guess what? On the other side, Pickett, he's going to target Freiermuth. I trust Freiermuth more than I trust Waller, at least because Pickett has looked for Freiermuth a lot. So give me Freiermuth over Darren Waller. I don't know what to expect out of Jarrett Stidham. So, yeah, give me Freiermuth. And these are the choices that you're going to have to make this week, whether you want to win or not. But, yeah, Evan Ingram, he's been solid. I mean, during this span of what is it, 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks, he's been averaging about close to 20 points based off of your scoring. He's become a must start. I like Dalton Schultz tonight versus the Titans. Cole Kmet is nice. Hunter Henry, if you're really desperate for a tight end. Then if you want to look deeper, you can go for guys like Kate Otten. Even that tight end, Shane Zelstra. I mean, if you're playing in super, super deep leagues, you got to just take a chance on one of these tight ends and just hope for the best. I mean, with tight ends, if you don't have like guys like Freiermuth or Wall or Schultz, you just pretty much your hands are up in the air. And in the leagues that I did have a Evan Ingram, I'm happy. I remember in the league that I'm in, Dynasty League, a guy sends me a trade. He sends me Josh Jacobs, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram, all for TJ Hawkinson. Now, this was way, way, way early in the summer. What has now happened is that Evan Ingram has become one of the best tight ends in the league. Christian Kirk has become a top 15 wide receiver. And then Jacobs became a top 3, top 4 running back this year. So sometimes you don't know how trades shake out. He got scared because Jacobs might not get paid. He got, he was looking at, Evan Ingram as, he's just a toss-in. He's on a 1-year deal with the Jags. And he's looking at Christian Kirk like, he's overrated. He ain't nobody. He's not a real true number 1. And what ended up happening is that I got 3 guys that are tops in their position, all for one trade. So sometimes when you get a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1, really evaluate. And sometimes take just be bold and just take these deals because you don't know how these deals end up. So we went over tight ends. I'm not going to do defense or kicker just for the simple fact that those things are sporadic. You never really know how things are going to turn or change. But yeah, man, this is a show. I enjoyed it. Good luck to you guys in your fantasy championships. If you made it to the Final 4, congratulations. If you made it to the Final 2, congratulations. And also, if you're in the 3rd place match, congratulations. I will not stop producing fantasy content. For those who play Dynasty, I'll be on all summer, pouring in, tips on startups, pouring in nuggets on who to draft, who not to draft, who to trade for in the offseason, who I feel. And these are all my opinions, who I feel is going to be a top tier. Because a lot of times we talk about this and this and that, and then the season comes and everything just flips. I'm looking forward to free agency. I'm looking forward to the draft. So there's going to be plenty NFL talk still coming up. Also, I'm going to have some debate shows to where we bring up a couple of guests. If you guys are interested in coming on for a debate show, let me know. Have a couple of guests, and we just debate, OGs, wide receivers, like who had a better career between Moss and T.O. And then I'm not going to be debating. I'm just going to be moderating, and then I just let the guests talk and do their spiel. And then we have the people that are in the chat decide who won this debate or who won this or that. So we got some fun stuff coming up. And then always I cover the Commanders, I cover the Lakers, I cover the Wizards, I do some NBA. So I'll be shifting gears towards NBA as the playoffs ramp up, and I have NFL playoff preview coming up and things of that nature. So, guys, this is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. Please like, please subscribe, please share. And I'm going to catch you guys on the next stream. I'm out. Peace.